Most people think the hardest schools to get into are places like Harvard, Stanford, and MIT. They have single-digit acceptance rates, perfect grades are rejected, thousands of brilliant students are told no. But what if I told you there's a school where millions compete, where one exam decides everything, and where acceptance rates make Ivy League schools look generous? And chances are, you've never heard of it. Here's what people think hardest means. When people argue about the hardest schools to get into, they usually point to acceptance rates. Stanford accepts about 3.5%, MIT accepts about 4%, Harvard has similar numbers. And those schools are brutally competitive, no question. But acceptance rate alone doesn't tell the full story. Because in the US, admissions are holistic. Applicants write essays, get recommendations, take the SAT and ACT with unlimited attempts, and they have interviews. You get multiple chances to show who you are. You can be rejected, but at least you've been seen. Now let's talk about a system where that is not true. Enter IITs. This brings us to India, where there's a group of schools called the Indian Institutes of Technology, or IITs. They're the most prestigious engineering and science universities in the country, similar to how MIT or Caltech are in the US. There are 23 IITs in total, but among them, one stands out, IIT Bombay. And to understand why people call it the hardest school in the world to get into, you have to understand one thing, the exam. Admission to IITs is decided almost entirely by a test called the Joint Entrance Examination, the JEE. Here's how it works. Every year, roughly 1.3 to 1.6 million students take the JEE main exam. From there, only about 180,000, or 11%, qualify for the next round, the JEE advanced exam. And from that group, only around 16,000 students total, just 1% of the original 1.6 million, get seats across all IIT schools combined. Not IIT Bombay, all IITs. For IIT Bombay's most competitive majors, like computer science, the acceptance rate drops well under 1%. That's 1% of the already 1%. No essays, no extracurriculars, no interviews. One exam decides everything. Here's why this is so brutal and what makes it different from US admissions. In the IIT system, one bad test day can erase years of preparation. There's no holistic review, there's no explanation, there's no second look. Many students start preparing in middle school. They attend specialized coaching centers, they solve thousands of advanced math and physics problems. Some studied 6 to 10 hours a day for years. And still, most of them fail. Not because they're weak students, but because the margin for error is microscopic. Let's look at IIT Bombay versus the Ivy Leagues. Here's the cleanest way to compare. Ivy Leagues reject thousands of students after reading their applications. IIT Bombay eliminates most students before they even get the chance to explain who they are. For example, MIT might ask, "Who are you? What have you built? How do you think?" Where IIT asks, "Can you solve this problem right now?" Neither system is better, but one is undeniably more forgiving. So is IIT Bombay actually the hardest? Now here's where we need some nuance. Is IIT Bombay the hardest school in the world for everyone? No. But for young, primarily Indian students? Absolutely. Similar to other schools around the world like École Normale Supérieure in France, Oxford and Cambridge, Juilliard or Curtis Institute for art students, or the traditional US Ivy League schools could all be the hardest for a particular student. So what's the real answer? That there is no single hardest school in the world. There's only the hardest school for your type of talent. If you're an amazing Exam dominating problem solver, IIT. If you're a builder or an inventor, MIT. A theoretical genius, ENS. An elite artist, Juilliard. Different filters, different definitions of best. So here's the real question. Would you rather face one brutal exam that decides everything, or a holistic process where thousands of perfect students apply and still get rejected? Which system is more fair? And is IIT Bombay actually harder than Harvard? Let me know down below.